got so quiet. This regular meeting of the Navasota City Council is called to order on Monday, the 9th of October in council chambers. And let the record show all council members are present. Welcome and thank you for being here this evening. We ask that you put your cell phones in the silent mode. And a reminder to visitors, if you would please sign in. And if you wish to speak under visitors' remarks, please fill out the form found in back and state your name and address at the podium, as we must document all meeting business and remarks limited to 3 minutes. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Matt Cecil, First United Methodist Church, and then followed by the pledges. Welcome to Navasota, by the way.
Thank you very much. Let's pray. Good and gracious God, thank you for this opportunity for us to come together to be about your business, to be about your service to this wonderful community here in Navasota. Lord, we ask your blessings on this time. We ask your presence in this meeting, and we ask your guidance and your wisdom in the midst of conversation, in the midst of questions and responses. We pray for your presence throughout all of it. Lord, we pray for peace. We pray for guidance. We pray with your hope and your grace that something wonderful is continuing to happen and will happen right here in Navasota. Lord, we are excited about this community and about the people within it, and we look forward to your help in making it that much better. Lord, we pray all these things in your holy and wonderful name, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Item 4, we have...
Item 3.
I'm sorry. Item 3, no?
Yes.
Yes, we do have one, I'm sorry. Item 3, yes, we need Mary Mabel to speak.
Good evening to everyone.
Hello.
I want to thank you all and hope y'all having a great day. Hope y'all had a great weekend. Of course, I didn't because Rattlers lost and the Cowboys lost. But with that being said, I want to thank y'all for giving me this opportunity. I've been here many times, and it's always on a positive note of trying to find a resolution to something that is dear to my heart and dear to the community. And I'm going to let y'all see this, if y'all would. It is concerning the water leaks that Mrs. Ruby Hamilton went to pay our light bill here in September. And when she got ready to pay the water bill, they told her that I think it was maybe about $1,500. And in the past, it has not run this, and she asked, well, what's going on? And she says, usually I want to say something about policy. Policy, when Brad was here, was a great thing. I don't know, I haven't read up on things of concerning who makes the policy concerning leaks. The only thing that we've ever asked for and have ever gotten is a courtesy call if there's a leak, especially a major leak. And as I let you just look at this, because this did come from the city, if water is running from anywhere with the drought that we had, if water is running from anywhere and no one hasn't alerted you concerning your own home or your own business, and of course we're a nonprofit, all volunteers from Carver, you get a bill of this nature, of course you get in shock. Of course it's going to be taken care of. We're not asking for a handout. We did find out that we had a water leak. I was told by, I don't see Brad here. Mr. Weeks. I finally got in touch with him after I was sent from up the elevator, down the elevator, here, there, to so many different people. And I just told him, well, this is the third day I've come in, and I will talk to the mayor and I will talk to the manager. So I took it to the top because I couldn't get any answers down at the bottom as why I hadn't got a call. So when Mr. Weeks finally called me back after 3 times, we kept missing each other. He said, well, Miss Mabel, I'm going to tell you this much. We have changed the policy. There's an app. We don't notify, we don't give courtesy calls anymore. I said, well, Daphne has always called Mrs. Hamilton or myself and said the meter is running real fast. And, okay, here's the bill, I'm sorry. That's one of the bills, because the bills are almost 3,000 plus. We always get a call, but we don't do that anymore. But I want to say that if something is broke, let's fix it. But if you're out of town, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, or you're on a plane, you're somewhere, I know that I would want a call to say, hey, Mary Mabel, your meter is running. If water is running every hour on the hour, 100 gallons or 200 gallons to any place, I think we owe the citizens of Grimes County a call. Hey, we can get some senior citizens to watch a meter. I learned how to do it. Now, when I did come, I asked for the piece of paper concerning the app. I know policies and procedures. I'm going to follow them. But is this benefiting? What about the people with the flip phone? Do they have apps? Will they be notified? I know y'all can't talk back to me, and that is fine. But I'm making you aware of when you do make policies, especially tax-paying people that are when you make a policy, I want you to think about whoever made this policy wasn't thinking. Because if you're away from home, you might not can hear. And let me tell you, some of your employees, they were very concerned because they said it wasn't their job to call anybody. But I want to give it to Daphne. She's always done a courtesy call because that was in place. I don't know who took it out of place. We were not aware of it. But to watch meters run, and I'm up at Carver every day, every morning when I get off of work, I'm there. We got students that we're counseling, trying to make them better citizens. We have heard our donors, because our donors that donate money, we have to raise that money to pay. Our bill will get paid. But the thing about it is we're a nonprofit organization and have given over $500,000. Well, we're going to give $3,000 for 257. Brad said, well, I'm sorry, not our responsibility anymore. You just got to get the app downloaded. And I'm sorry, Mary, it's been not since July 1st till September. It's been since June 1st. I said, well, they said July 1st. And so that's not the point. The point is, I don't care if it's the lowest, the seniors, the vulnerable people that do not have funding to pay to pay water bills. It's already $30 if they're late after the 15th of the month. It's just not fair to watch. If I got a meet, I can't see. Everybody know that I'm blind on the left side, and they was trying to show me I can't see down in there. But do we have to come from a vacation or come from somewhere or come from church or come from somewhere and check our meters every day? Can a senior citizen do that?
Okay.
So if we can get a text, my resolution, Bert, and to the city manager, to you all, to the city council, if a text, phone call, or email, we can check that. But everybody don't have apps and don't understand apps. I appreciate you. You know I am a supporter of the city. I'm a supporter of the city council and have voted for every last one of you that are sitting up there. I want to see where we're helping everybody, not just, because I did a survey, and out of the 1,000, which we know we have some 1,000 plus citizens, I did a survey, and guess what? out of those 1,000 people, about 200, and I said, I don't need your name. I just know if you ever got a call when you had a water leak or you're still getting calls. One just got a call the other day. Well, September the 15th, after I came from your office, Bert, and Brad's office, this what was on the door. But why wasn't that? And I want the city councils to see that, and I'll get those papers back. I want y'all to see that, because that was very hurtful, especially when you're trying to be an asset to the community and helping students.
Mayor, you need to get back to the podium so we can pick it up, please.
Community to be better. Okay? So I want y'all to know, I thank you for letting me, talk, Bert, and I've been at your office many times. I thank you for your support, but something needs to be done about that. Okay? Thank you, especially when it was a drought. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Weeks, would you like to make a comment in regard to that? Because I believe we...
Council, I think back when that was done, according to Public Works, we used to do some calls. It's not been a change of policy to not do that, but the reason we switched to the new meters is to put that responsibility onto the users, to put up, there's an alarm in there that when you're using a certain amount, it'll tell you. And so we have done a bad job about communicating how that app works and how that works. And so once our new marketing person comes in, we're going to look at trying to get something out and push that out to the public about how to use that feature. In addition to that, we do not have a water leak policy. And so it's something we're working with the CFO about putting together a water leak policy that can assist for cases like this as well. But it is something that that did catch us off guard, and we are working to rectify this.
I'm going to tell you, I had personal experience that my business in downtown had mine. Ended up finding out both my toilets were running after they were supposed to stop, and I didn't much care for having to pay those bills, but I guess I just blame myself for not noticing. But it would be nice to have had us some kind of a notification, and shame on me for not signing up for that app.
But it's definitely something that we'll be looking at a little closer. Yes, sir.
I think it would be.
Mayor, can you pass me that yellow sticker that I can give back to her?
Oh, yeah. All right. Proclamation. Is there a chamber representative in there?
A lot faster than I thought she was.
Please come forward.
Yeah, thanks.
Come around.
Okay.
Proclamation recognizing Support Your Local Chamber of Commerce Day. Whereas Chambers of Commerce strive to address the community's top challenges and greatest opportunities through bold leadership and innovative problem solving. And whereas Chambers of Commerce foster stronger, more vibrant communities by advocating for priorities to promote economic prosperity, boost quality of life, and create access to meaningful employment and opportunity for all residents. Whereas Chambers of Commerce are champions of communities, serving as trusted resource for business, residents, and other stakeholders. Chambers of Commerce create catalytic community partnerships to build resilient economies and promote community-wide prosperity. And the Navasota-Grimes County Chamber of Commerce was chartered on March 6, 1916 by then Secretary of State John G. McKay. It began with 9 residents whose names are still very familiar within our community today. They were J.N. Baylor, J.W. Brosig, C.C. Camp, J.T. Evans, H.H. Knox, Ewing Norwood, R.A. Patu, Ward Templeman, and E.H. Terrell. Whereas the mission of the Navasota-Grimes County Chamber of Commerce is to be an association of businesses and individuals organized to encourage a strong local economy and quality of life by promoting economic, civic, cultural, and social development through an informed membership and community. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Bert Miller, Mayor, City of Navasota, proclaim October 18, 2023 as Support Your Local Chamber of Commerce Day, and encourage Navasota, Texas residents to learn more about the Chamber, its impact, support of local business, and join the Chamber. Right. Signed this 9th day of October, 2023.
Front of the seal.
Get the seal.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you, Lucy.
Oh, I need the chief, and I think all of our officers are here probably to join us on this one as well. Put big print and I still can't read it. This is a proclamation for National Night Out for the City of Navasota. Whereas on Tuesday, October 17th, the City of Navasota will participate in the celebration of the annual National Night Out. And it's a great opportunity for the community, law enforcement, and other public safety officials to join forces with over 37 million people nationwide in support of America's Night Out against crime. This event is planned to promote crime and drug prevention awareness and to strengthen police-community partnerships to keep our neighborhoods safe. It's essential that all citizens of the community be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime in Navasota. Therefore, I, Burt Miller, the Mayor of the City of Navasota, do hereby proclaim the night of Tuesday, October 17th, 2023 as National Night Out in Navasota, and call upon all citizens in Navasota to join the Navasota Police Department and public officials in support by hosting or joining a block party on October 17th, 2023.
Mayors are getting back to your seat. We got introduction of new employees. So Peggy, if you want to come up and introduce some of our newest employees, please.
Good evening. Mayor Miller, council members. I would like to introduce, well, first of all, Peggy Johnson with the Human Resource Director. I'd like to introduce our new employees for this, for tonight. First of all, I'd like to call Christian Garcia. Christian Garcia was born and raised in Houston, Texas. She was hired by the City of Navasota on October the 1st as our new Assistant City Manager in our Administration Department. Christian has served in local governments for over 15 years. After graduating from the University of Houston with a Bachelor's of Art in Political Science, she began her career in local government with the City of LaPorte in February of 2008. In 2017, she completed a Master's of Public Administration through the Sam Houston State University. As a public servant, Christian has remained dedicated to working closely with the communities she served to build and maintain positive relationships. She is excited to serve as the new Assistant City Manager for the City of Navasota. If y'all would help me to welcome her to the city.
You're not gonna make her give a speech?
No.
You said that too quick.
Yeah. I'll wait till the next, later on.
Next, if Eli Boris would come up, please. the city of Navasota hired Eli Juarez on September the 26th as a natural gas technician in our Public Works Department. He was born in Richmond, Texas. He was raised in College Station, Texas. He graduated from Norzook High School and joined the U.S. Navy immediately after graduation and served for 4 years, was honorably discharged, and returned home on July the 2nd of 2023. And I'm happy, and he's happy and thankful to be here working for the city of Navasota. We would like to also thank Mr. Eli for his services in the service force, and also would like to welcome him to the city of Navasota.
Absolutely.
That's all you got to do.
What I've got. Also, we have another one that wasn't able to make it tonight, Victoria Garcia. She is, no, not Garcia, I'm sorry, Gutierrez. She's due to night school. She's a fire cadet. She will unable to make it tonight due to night schooling, but we will bring her to the meeting on the first council meeting on November the 13th. She'll be coming.
All right.
Don't go far, Peggy. So now we got recognition of service awards. So if you want to do the service award?
Yes, sir. I would like to call at this time Miss Sarah Moon. The city of Navasota hired Sarah Moon on October the 1st, 2018 as a communications operator in our Navasota Police Department. On September the 5th, 2019, Ms. Moon completed her FTO training and obtained her basic telecommunications license. And afterwards, she was promoted to the communications supervisor position on October the 3rd, 2019. At this time, I would like to present this certificate of appreciation to Sarah Moon in appreciation for 5 years of dedicated services to the city of Navasota.
Oh.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Mayor, next, Jennifer Rain is going to come up and give an update on all our CIP capital improvement projects.
Good evening, everybody. I'm so excited for you guys to be back from your conference. I'm ready to hear everybody's update. So I want
You
to.
start with your update
I'm going to
first.
give you. I'm going to give you a real quick. I'd like to keep moving on to tonight's agendas. So first, we're going to start out with the street and utility. CIP crews are going to be on Horlock, and that what they're going to be doing on Horlock Street is the sewer service lines. So that project is moving pretty good. There was a total of 3 crews around Sycamore, Horlock, Judson, Kettler, Water. So they've been all in that area for the last couple of months. We're moving pretty good and steady on that project. And then the fire hydrant capital improvement project, we have 1 left, which is scheduled for tomorrow morning on Washington, kind of right in front of the title company. That one will be replaced. And so once that one's finished, then that's going to tie up that project and we'll be finished with that fire hydrant project.
Hey, Jennifer, can you real quick, so off of that, can you be sure to let the council know that about the other, that we're going to continue? We got $100,000 in the budget for.
Yes. So the remaining fire hydrants, there's about 24 fire hydrants that are still either that need to be replaced or repaired. You might see some around towns that still have shields on them. We have a line item that we budget this year for $100,000. We have a contractor that's coming in mid to end of October to meet with myself and John McKay. We're going to go around and evaluate some of those that are still out of service. And then we'll slowly get those back into service, but it's way less it's less than 10% of the entire system of fire hydrants that are out of service. So we have made great progress. My chief is happy with that, and so I'm happy with it as well. So it's been some good projects.
They still have some of the ones that they put in, they replaced, that they need to paint?
Yes, that's correct. So we're doing that. The painting is going to be the last process, and the last one being replaced on Washington in front of the title company. So that's, then we have a change order on the airport utility project later on this evening, and I'll address that with you guys later on. Any questions?
Yeah, what are all the dump trucks doing on the, I know that Sycamore is being torn up to replace the water line. Are the dump trucks taking dirt? Are they
Yes.
picking up
So
dirt?
they have a location in town where they're hauling all the dirt off.
So they're hauling off?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And did we ask them to use certain roads, or just letting them go back and forth over the roads that are still in good shape, kind of, as opposed to the roads that are not in good shape?
We're not.
Because they're using all of the roads in that subdivision back and forth, and I'm afraid that it's gonna tear up what decent roads we have over there now.
I'm sure, as any other driver, they're using the shortest route from A to B. We can it's kind of hard to monitor how they go to and from the locations, but
Just maybe you could encourage them to use a road that is, dirt, and that way when we replace the road, we're not having to worry about adding
Sure.
additional streets that have.
Yeah, we can talk to them when we have the next meeting.
I'll let John and Edwin know that tomorrow. We can kind of watch it. Okay? Thank you, guys.
Mayor and council, the next item on there, I know that Councilmember Gessner always asks for this item to be put on there after our Texas Municipal League annual conference. Is an opportunity for us to have some discussion about what we learned at the conferences. So I know 4 of y'all went. Myself and staff, we actually got to go to 2 conferences back to back. So we went to the International City Managers Association Conference in Austin for 4 full days, and then joined y'all at TML in Dallas. I know that staff is going to work in their updates within the weekly update. So the weekly update this week will be quite a bit lengthy, because they'll have that in there. And I'll have some information there too about myself. But just off the cuff, a lot of the things that the classes that I went to rehashed about the importance of reaching out to the community and to your employees, using surveys as a way to get in some employee and community engagement, finding out what those needs are, how satisfied they are with services, and ways just to reach out to them and get some areas of concern. I talked a lot about creating culture within the organization and trying to change bad habits. Generally, people leave an organization due to bad culture, and so making sure that you have a culture that people want to stay and thrive and want to be here. And talked a lot about strategic planning, and so luckily we had just went through the strategic planning, but said how really it should be a goal every year that you are looking at your strategic plan, making sure that strategic plan matches what you and the community desires, that staff's implementing that, and you just keep moving forward and keep moving forward. A lot of them talked about rethinking the way that things are done. One of the classes went to talked about for many years we've put up these subdivisions, and each subdivision has a wall. If you ever thought about, so you look at Heritage Meadows, around Heritage Meadows there's a wall. It's a fence that's all the way around it, and that's Heritage Meadows. You go to the other cities, and each subdivision has their own wall around it. They're talking about, this walkability and places where you have mixed-use development, and taking down the walls, and so it's making more open space area for more people to come in and enjoy where you live, instead of having to, getting traffic is a huge concern. It's one of the biggest concerns outside of water shortage that a lot of the communities are facing. And ways that you get rid of some of the traffic is starting to provide this walkability, so doing mixed-use development. So where you actually live, is also a place where you can go and work, whether it's working at home or working down. You live on one of the top 2 floors of a mixed-use development, and you own a shop down below, and you can go to the store or go to a restaurant within there. There's open space for your kids to go play, or a dog park to go, play with your dog, or whatever is all within walkability. And so that's a lot of things. I will tell you, we're not going to be the next Mansfield. Sorry, I'm not taking all of council to 10 different cities throughout the United States, nor planning and zoning, or the community to go look at some of these mixed-use developments. It's nice. We could afford that if our average home value was $795,000.
Like theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was some great takeaways. Again, I'll put it on paper. Part of the thing about going to classes, being a ICMA credentialed manager, I'm required to get 40 to 60 hours per year. And so I actually have to go in there and actually do a detailed report about, here's the class I went to, here's the number of hours, and here's what I actually learned and what we learned from it. So kind of as I work through that, get that to y'all. But I'd love for you, if you want to share with us about some of the key takeaways that you had, this is your opportunity if you want to share that.
Sure, I'll start it off. I think it was especially good year for keynote speakers. A lot of times you kind of dread keynote speakers, but the one about the hero effect, Kevin Brown was awesome, and we all were able to enjoy that. And another one about the future is now technology and trends by Crystal Washington, and then For the Love of Cities by Peter Kageyama, who I've heard him before a few times, but he had a lot of neat ideas about just simple things you can do, from murals to just beautification projects and things like that we may not have thought outside the box sometimes. But I also got quite a bit out of the small city. They did a number of, what did they call those?
Round
The roundtables, yeah. And that was something that I'm a member of the Small City Advisory Council within TML, and part of the job of that committee is to bring forth things for small cities that are really useful. And because the TML's membership, I think, is about 85% is considered small cities. So it should be that way. We should get the most out of it. So these roundtables enable all the different cities, whether they're 500 people or maybe up to 15,000, something like that, kind of in that range. They bring forth real life things that they've done, from collaboration with other groups, like how we work with the city, how we work with the school, how we work with counties, economic development, how we recruit new businesses, the things that we do and things that other cities do that share with each other. Recruitment for city events, boards and commissions. Always need help there, ideas on how to get our citizens involved and get them to help us. Citizen engagement. I was able to talk about our successful Citizens University and shared that with the group, and some of them had never even heard of that or knew that it was something you could do. So we're probably going to share ours with them, and it'll help them. And then downtown development, I was able to facilitate that one, and I was able to kind of talk about some of our successes we've had here with investment on Railroad Street, and the continuing development that's going on over there. And just overall, I think it just reinforced a lot of the things that we have been doing over the recent years that kind of just made you feel like, yeah, I think we're going in the right direction on a lot of things, and then also learn some things that we can improve upon or fix. And then the trade show had over 400 vendors, and it's just incredible to try to even imagine yourself walking through this thing. You couldn't get to everything, but you were able to visit with some of the, you can visit with some of the, like, engineering companies and different folks that we do business with. And it's on a social basis, it's really good to be able to do that. And then also, find out about new types of equipment, new types of software, new types of different things. And then we'll share whatever we picked up, we'll share it with staff and bring it home.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was 2 sessions that stuck out in my head. One was Mansfield, and they realized after they had done very well at recruiting large industry and big developers that they'd had zero walkability in their city, so they were having to retrofit, which is expensive. But they were doing it quite successfully. So I was very interested in how they were managing to meet the needs of their citizens that were living there when they realized that the city wasn't working for them the way that it was. And they made lots of changes. They're still making changes, and their presentation was really good. And the other thing that I was really interested in that I enjoyed thoroughly was a session called Fetch a Ride, and it was in Pflugerville, and it was how they addressed the issue that you have with public transportation and how expensive it is for the city to provide public transportation and how people weren't using, there's a stigma around it and all of that, and how they partnered with Uber. And they used a partnership with Uber to provide in-town public transportation on demand 24/7, which saved them somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000 a year. And I think that at some point, our growth will demand that we look at something similar, because we will not be able to afford a fleet of buses and drivers and maintenance and all of those things and how those things add up. So I think that there was quite a bit of information that we'll be able to use in the future, kind of gauge everything. I attended the roundtable for the small cities, and I always ask, my number one question to any and all cities is, how do you incentivize your business owners, building owners in your central business district to actually use their buildings for business and not storage? And so far, no one has solved the problem. So I'm still looking for the solution. I would love to see more businesses downtown in buildings that nobody's in right now. And I don't know if it's cost, I don't know what it is, but every empty building is it's not helping the city grow. So those were the things that I enjoyed the most. That and networking. I always love to see how everybody else handles everything.
Well, what was really interesting, and this is just a side note for the city of Navasota, but when somebody would recognize our logo, they would say, "Oh, Navasota Rattlers." Yeah, we've been to that town. We know, we know that they're doing good things down there. It was really amazing. I mean, almost everybody that ran into kind of, recognized us, or at least our town, and had positive things to say about it. The emergency management session was really good, and made me think about things that maybe somebody else is thinking about. Hopefully our new assistant city manager is thinking about them. But stuff that I don't even know that we've talked about out in the open, like debris removal is one of the things I emailed you about. I have no idea if we have a plan for that or not. And so we were able to talk to Laura with Republic, and she may or may not have some options for us, but it looks like that's something that we're going to be tackling soon and trying to figure out. So anyway, I guess I never realized how many things can go wrong that we as citizens just kind of sit back and assume that they're all taken care of. Attended the legislative update, and it's clear that most cities are not real excited about what the state is doing for us or against us. And there's really, at this point, no real solution to how to solve some of the issues. And that was fairly clear.
Problems they've created.
Right. And then there was a session about funding sources for different grants. I took some information from there, but it was through the League of Cities. National League of Cities?
Yes.
Yeah, and so they put together a database so that when we go to fill out grants, if you use their database, it provides all of the demographics for your area, so that you're not trying to hunt and gather. Like Bert was saying, when you go to the vendor exhibits, there's always folks there. There was a lady there with a group that the state has set up that projects your populations for you, and it's in real time. And so our population was projected at, I think it was 8,500 for this census, and it's the state using some special formula. Anyway, gave her my information, waiting on her to respond back with how where they gather their data from and how they come up with the formula to figure out where we're supposed to be, but their projections for 3 or 4 years down the road. And then one of the other sessions that I attended this was just a piece of that session, but onboarding for your boards and commissions. And there's a really nice handbook of what is expected from each board and commission, kind of the things that you need to do, and how do you meet with them regularly to kind of keep them informed and involved with council, so that they have an idea of what direction the city is going through, and talking about using the strategic plan as kind of the motivation for those discussions.
My experience this past weekend was real great. The first thing is just the interaction of the local cities around us: College Station, Brenham, Madisonville, and Magnolia. Like Josh said, we was walking around with all the shirts on and everything. They said, "Oh, you from Navasota? We just love what y'all doing over there to your downtown area." I mean, just about all of College Station City Council was high on our downtown location here. A couple of things that stuck out to me was that small round table discussion. We was able to sit at tables and from 8 to 9 people discuss things, and then at the end of the session you can get up and talk and ask questions to the whole group. But this particular mayor was sitting at our table, and he was talking that, I can't remember what town that he was from, but he said that they had problems with the county and the city getting along, and said they always was fighting among themselves, and said it took a big tragedy for them to come together, and said since that tragedy that the city and the county has been working united. And I thought that was really, really great. And also another guy at the table was saying that the council along with the city employees have to sell the community, have to sell Navasota. Well, he didn't say Navasota, but I think he was from Mahale. Have to sell the town to the people. And he went on and he kept talking. Said most of the time people want things, but they don't know it's already in plan and it's being already done. If we can just be communicative and let people know what we're doing and when it's going to take place, and so that most of the time when it comes time to do it, it won't be a big uproar about spending too much money or not spending enough money on things. And also, back to what Patty had said about Manfields, I was in that class also, and I loved the presentation that they gave. They had their council, city manager there, and the mayor, and they had their stuff together. And they said they forgot to include sidewalks in their building and everything, and they had to go back. But I'm just so glad that here a few years ago that Navasota put in the deal about the sidewalks. It's very important because they told us that what they done was got some of the kids from the school, came to city council and just said, you all tell us what you want. And said that's what they learned about the sidewalk, that most of the younger generation right now is walking instead of riding. And I think that the sidewalks in our neighborhood will be a big access to the community here. That's all I have right now.
Yeah, Mayor,
I know Kerry also was at the conference, and I think you had some sessions too.
And a good meal.
Yeah.
You bet. We had some great sessions too that stand out. Would be the broadband, how to negotiate with broadband providers in your community, because at the federal level and state level there's this big push and a lot of money to get broadband extended throughout the state. that, you know, they will come in and you need to be able to negotiate with them and know what your rights are and know what their rights do not include. And so how you can protect the city in terms of what costs can be shifted to the broadband companies and what can't. So that's really important. Like, for example, if they come in and install a line and then it has to be relocated, you can shift that cost to them. You don't have to eat that cost as a city. So that was a really good session, learned a lot there. And then the legislative update, yes, it was, we talked a lot about the Death Star preemption bill. And right now where that stands is Travis County Court has declared that to be unconstitutional. The state has appealed that. Briefings are due in November, December timeframe. And so, you know, right now, you know, we're going to talk about the charter in a few minutes. I'm not recommending any changes to the charter as a result of that because it's still, there's still pending litigation. At some point that may change where we would want to change the charter, but right now I wouldn't recommend changing it. But so that was another good session, the legislative update. And then we meet twice a year. The Texas City Attorneys Association meets twice a year, including this meeting. And there's always a case law update so that we get knowledge about you know, how the courts are, you know, deciding cases as it relates to cities. So it was a really good conference. You know, it's kind of hit and miss sometimes, but this one was a really good one for attorneys. So
We appreciate you being there to keep up on things. 'Cause
yes,
that's,
sir. You bet. Yeah.
That's
great.
That's why we like you so much.
Yeah, Mayor, one of the sessions was Water and Sewer 101. It was given by the CFO for New Gen Strategies. They're the consultants we use for our water and sewer and gas rate study. Did a really good 101 session so that councils can understand the difference between why do we need water rates, what are water rates supposed to pay for, what is your sewer rate supposed to pay for. If I can get a good video copy of that, I'd love to be able to plug that into our website and so that residents can a little bit understand when they ask questions, why is our rates going up? Here's why, and can explain about what goes into those rates. And so it was a good explanation, very well explained. A lot of the stuff that you saw on some of the slides already, but they just went a lot more in depth. It was really good overall. It was a long it's actually 7 days for us. 7 days for us. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any reports on boards and commissions? All right, just a few things on the calendar here. On the 12th of October, the Grimes St. Joseph Health Fair will be at the fairgrounds, 10 to 1. 14th is Farmers Market. 16th is a movie at the library. 17th, of course, National Night Out, and the nonprofit fair at the library. On the 21st, the Sound of Small Town America coming to Navasota, one of 4 concerts in the nation. 3 to 9, I believe, is the kind of the time frame on that, and that's going to be here at City Hall, and that's again on the 21st. And I just found out today that a local entertainer that entertains actually at Classic Rock on Sundays, I don't know if you've been able to hear him, but his name is Dale May. Anyway, he entered, and he was notified Friday that he is going to be one of the ones performing here. So that was really exciting. I'm going to actually know somebody that's performing.
I think we've got So 25
pretty
people,
cool.
is what we were told today, that's going to
Great.
be performing.
So anyway, you can find out more information about that Sound of Small Town America on our Visit Navasota Facebook page, and also I think on our city page as well. The 21st and 22nd, we'll be having the fall cleanup. That's where you can take your unwanted items to the Malcolm Street dumpsters that we will have there for anything and everything except hazardous materials. So, you know, it can be anything from beds to, you tell me, Jose, I mean, you kind of just about.
Appliances, pretty much.
Yeah, appliances, yeah, things like that, things that might be unsightly on your front porch, right? And then Actually, that same weekend, or the 21st, the Saturday only, there will be a hazardous waste event, and that's going to be up at the A&M University Services Building from 7 to 2. That's not the Harvey Highway 30 exit. And it's free and it's open to residents of Navasota to take hazardous waste. That would be like computers, paints, things that are, again, hazardous type materials. And on the 26th through the 29th will be the annual Lanterns and Legends event that the Navasota Theater Alliance is putting on. The 26th, 27th, and 28th, I believe, is at Oakland Cemetery, and then the 29th, they'll have an indoor event at the theater. This year's theme has to do with the names on buildings that you see downtown. I think Mark mentioned it at the last council meeting, but that's always I always enjoy the Lanterns and Legends. You can learn a lot about folks that helped our community get where it is today, and learn more about where they came from and what brought them here and what they did while they were here. And then the 31st is Treats on the Streets. That's
Their bodies.
everybody treats on the streets. What else can I say? That's on Halloween night. And then coming up on the 11th of November is Reds, Wheats, and Blues. It's going to be at the VFW. That's hosted by the Navasota Grimes County Chamber of Commerce. And I understand they've already got some of the acts booked, so look forward to that. You can go to the Chamber of Commerce website, and you can buy tickets now, and they are looking for sponsors as well. So
Bringing back the Blues Fest.
Yes.
basically bringing back Blues Fest. That's right.
Every weekend, every Friday and Saturday through Halloween, the Haunted House, the Navasota City Morgue Haunted House, has partnered with the Navasota Elks, and they are putting on, I believe it is it Circus?
Circus Freaks.
Yeah, Circus Freaks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the theme. I don't do haunted houses. I don't like that.
I don't do clowns.
But I have heard that it is really good. So I suggest that everyone go and support that cause as well.
Jason, one of the things that everybody always asks, and maybe this is for the Chief Mize, and that is, so you're having treats on the streets, but can people go and trick or treat in neighborhoods? And if so, what day is that?
Halloween night.
Yeah, Halloween night usually. That's the way it was last year, and it was during the week last year. So I mean, when I went home to Pecan Lakes after finishing here, there were trucks and trailers pulling through the neighborhood. So I would think it'd be that day. I think what you have on the weekend is going to be some of your either school functions or maybe the church functions that are having stuff. But my understanding, it's always on.
So citizens can still do both?
They do whatever they want to do, so.
Yeah, we just encourage them to go to Treats on the Streets because it makes it a lot easier on the parents to.
I know the past couple of years there's a Facebook page. I do not know the name of it, but it's like Halloween Navasota or Trick or Treating Navasota or something like that. It's like a private group, but you can find it and ask to join. And somebody every year has put together a list of the neighborhoods that are going to be handing out candy. So
That's kind of what I'm getting at. When I was living in Stone Ridge,
The moms
everybody
generally
wants to know,
coordinate that.
can they do both? When is it supposed to happen? So everybody's always asking. So if you just put it out there, then we'll answer that question before it comes up.
Yeah, well, I think Treats on the Streets, what time we usually shut it down? It's
Usually 8 to 8:30. Yeah.
Safer, yeah.
Safer. There's over 50 people usually a lot of candy, a lot of food.
yeah,
Afterwards,
they leave
they
and
can go in the neighborhood. It's usually Halloween day.
Okay.
Item 5 is consideration and possible action concerning the appointment of city staff member pursuant to Article 5, Section 1C of the Navasota City Charter, serve as administrative officer authorized to perform the duties of the city manager in the city manager's absence or inability to perform his duties and related issues.
Mayor and members of council, Jason Kukoski has been serving in this capacity since last year. He's decided that he's going to be able to remove his orange hat and pass it on to Kristen. So now that Assistant City Manager's been hired, I'm asking you to appoint her as filling in my absence. Though that can't happen over the next 2 weeks because tomorrow Kristen is taking vacation. She starts, goes a week and then she gets to take her vacation. So if anything happens between now and 2 weeks, Jason will help out. But I'm just asking you to name her as in lieu of Jason Kukoski at this time.
Mr.
And
Mayor.
it's per charter too, by the way.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize Assistant City Manager Kristen, is it Gauthier,
Got you, okay.
to perform duties of the city manager in his absence or disability.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Peterson, second by Mr. Gessner to approve the appointment of Kristen
Gauthier.
To perform the duties of city manager in the city manager's absence or inability to perform his duties and related issues. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carried. Item 6, consideration and possible action on the first reading of ordinance 1033-23, approving the project plan and financing plan for the City of Navasota Tax Increment and Reinvestment Zone Number 1. That would be Lupe.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, good evening. Lupe Diosdado, Development Services Director. Just wanted to do some quick legal housekeeping. As you know, the tax increment finance zone was created last year, at the end of last year. Part of the process is to have the TERS board approve the project plan and finance plan. It's supposed to happen, in a linear fashion where the TERS board approves it first, then the council. We did so in January. However, the council approved both of those items in just simple vote form. We're in the process of amending our boundaries to the TERS to incorporate the recently annexed Chandler property. And so as a part of that, they needed to reference that ordinance that approved it. Well, it didn't exist. So this is going to clean up that portion of it and get us ready to bring back in a future item amending the boundaries of that TERS. And both the ordinance was reviewed by our legal counsel, and if you'll have any questions, definitely answer. And we also provided a map of what's to come in the future once we amend that TERS boundary. So on the second page of the cover sheet, you'll see where it's going to expand to at some point in the near future.
Lupe, so question on the 209.65 acres and the 29.94 acres that's in red. Could you explain what those are?
Yes.
So Councilmember Gessner had a question earlier about that.
Yes, so the 209.65 acres, that's the totality of that red shaded area, which includes the second half of the recently annexed Altamira property. Previously, our ETJ kind of ran down the middle of those, proposed 400 or so homes out there. And then that also includes that other property to the north. So they just kind of put it all together in one giant piece. But there's actually, I think, 2 or 3 parcels that make up that entire area, including a small little skinny tract that runs east of the Altamira property. So, us annexing the 95 acres, it really opened up our ETJ, which is that dashed line showing on the perimeter. So they recommended, we only include properties into the TERS that are actually in the ETJ. So that's why we included those to the north, and then the south, the 29.94. I think that's also made up of 1 or 2 lots. Once we bring back the item to amend the TERS, we'll make sure that we include the original lot lines in there too. So you can get a good visual on what that would be.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the first reading of ordinance 1033-23.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fultz, second by Ms. Peterson to approve ordinance 1033-23 on first reading. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item.
Thank you.
Item 7, consideration possible action on resolution 749-23, nominations to the board of directors of the Grimes Central Appraisal District.
Mayor and City Council, a 5-member board of directors governs the Grimes Central Appraisal District. The members are nominated and elected by the county commissioners, court, the school boards, and the city council in Grimes County. Currently serving is Kathleen Terrell, Charles Frady, Sam Rufino, Diana Westmoreland, and H. Alec Pointer. And under state law, each entity wishing to nominate a candidate for the board must pass a resolution nominating a candidate for the board of directors. The council has previously nominated Kathleen Terrell for many years, but I contacted her and she wishes not to serve again. And so we reached out to Jenny Fultz, who has graciously accepted the nomination and is willing to serve if y'all so choose. And once we do that, we'll get another letter from the appraisal district where we have to cast our votes. We're allocated 242 votes, but that would come in another action item once we submit our nomination by resolution. And then in your packet is a little summary on page 9 of their big book of kind of what the position does and what they're responsible for. Let me see if I can get to it real quick. Like they can hire the chief appraiser, they approve the budget, they have board meetings at least once each calendar quarter. They develop and implement policies regarding access to the board. And so there's various things that they do, but, and I sent this entire book to Jenny. And she looked it over and she did email me back and she's willing to accept the nomination if y'all so choose. And it will be for the year January 24 to December 25. Excuse me, allergies.
And Susie, I think Kathleen's the one that recommended.
We actually asked Kathleen to recommend
She
someone.
did. And she was, yeah.
Because she knows what it all entails.
And she said Jenny is very much like her. They have the same likes in this. So she actually recommended that we reach out to Jenny.
Did we specifically ask her about the qualifications on her having represented anybody that had issues that came before the board?
I sent her this book and she, I sent her this information from the appraisal district.
Okay.
Actually, to the best of my knowledge, this board does not have anything to do with folks' appraisals. There's another board
Right.
of which
This board
Mr. Horn is one of the ones that's on that board from Navasota.
Mike Stewart, I think, is on that.
Yeah, there's some others that are on there, and they are the ones that are presented like with challenges.
That's the ARB, your ARB board.
ARB or
Yeah,
something like
That
that.
appraisal review board.
Right,
So,
that's a different one.
Bernie, I would say that I don't know that this board's more of an operational.
Understood, but it's specifically written here that where the eligibility, it says a person who has appraised property for compensation for use in proceedings of represented property owners for compensation in proceedings in the CAD at any time within the preceding 3 years. Well, I don't know if her business
Well, Kathleen did that too.
includes representing people that, a lot of times people going before the board don't take a lawyer, they take a appraiser.
Isn't it more of the relation, if you're related to that person, isn't that?
Well, that's a secondary thing, and
Oh.
that would include, her brother.
Councilmember, what page are you on when you're looking at there?
Page 5,
Right here.
Okay,
Carrie.
all right.
In yellow there, right?
yeah.
Good.
The first paragraph and then the second bullet point down underneath.
She doesn't do appraisals.
No, she doesn't do appraisals, but if she represented people that But I think that the representation that goes before the ARB, generally the representation is not a lawyer, but an appraiser.
If she were engaged in protesting somebody's, appraisal and value and that sort of thing, then it may be a problem. I don't know if she does that type of work.
That's what I know. I don't.
And if she's read through this document, so I would say that if she's ineligible, as it turns out, I mean, she's confirmed that she would
No,
be
she
willing.
wouldn't take on something else.
Right.
Right, I mean, I think, being a lawyer, I think she probably read this pretty carefully and feels like she's eligible. I would guess, having dealt with Jenny, she's pretty detail oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I haven't talked to her about this, but, and then if it turns out that it's a problem, the
You
council
can just
can
deny it, yeah, right.
Yes.
Turn it down.
Mr. Mayor, I move to nominate Jennifer Fultz Jarvis to serve on the Grimes County Central Appraisal District Board of Directors.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Peterson, second by Mr. Gessner to approve recommendation of nomination of Jennifer Fultz Jarvis in Resolution 749-23 to the Board of Directors of the Grimes Central Appraisal District. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 8, consideration possible action on change order number 2, the airport extension project in the amount of $1,355.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Jennifer Reyna, Public Works Director. This is a small change order in the amount of $1,355 to make some adjustments to the north end entry gate. After we poured the driveway, there was a gap. The ground had settled, so we had to lower the entire fence to be in compliance with the FAA. So we had to just go ahead and move forward with making the adjustments to the gate. Any questions?
Still under budget, right?
Still under budget, and this would be the last change order to this project, and we should be going for a final site visit here shortly, and then we can wrap things up.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the change order number 2 to the airport utilities extension project in the amount of $1,355.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kester, second by Mr. Fultz to approve change order number 2 to the airport extension project, the amount of $1,355. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, item carries. Item 9, consideration of possible action on appointment to the Charter Review Committee and discussion with the Charter Review Committee concerning the City of Navasota Home Rule Charter. And we'll begin with asking for a motion to appoint Mac Vaughn to the Charter Review Committee to replace Mr. Jerry Patu, who would be unable to serve.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Fultz, second by Ms. Peterson to approve appointment of Mac Vaughn to the Charter Review Committee replacing Mr. Patu. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. And now we will move to the discussion of the Charter Review Committee.
Mayor, members of council, thank you. Staff has reached out to committee members. Mac Vaughn was actually on vacation. He hadn't had a vacation in a while, and he said, this is the only meeting I can't make. I can make all the other planned meetings. And then Ashley Falco wasn't able to be here as well. But we do have 3 of our committee members here today. As we discussed, the idea is to start reviewing the city charter within your packets. We've got around 38 pages that's been in there. Each page is lined, so each page has a line number on it. The plan is tonight for you to have open dialogue with the committee back and forth, and have some discussions about what areas of concerns, any ideas, questions that they might have of you or questions you might have of them, this opportunity for you to speak to them. The idea is to go from this meeting, and hopefully, I think we've met with most of them to discuss when these meetings would occur. We're looking at on Wednesdays around 5:30. The meetings will occur in room 200 upstairs. They'll be open to the public. We will post those meetings. We'll post them as a potential quorum in case any 3 council members happens to show up that meeting and want to sit in on the conversation, or whether you don't, we'll still have that available. Our attorney will be zooming in on each of those meetings. The idea is the first meeting, it'll be myself and Susie and the attorney discussing some legal terms and legal things. So over the last 10 years, there's been a lot of that's happened with the state legislature, and so with that, he's gone through our charter, and there's some legal things that we need to, first off the bat, tackle.
Just some housekeeping. Yeah.
And then we will start moving section by section, so it's broke out between articles. We're not making all-night deal of it. We'll start at 5:30, try to have a cutoff somewhere between 7, 8 o'clock to have that. The idea is to hopefully start on October 25th, I think. We will not have anything the week of Thanksgiving. And the plan is to be finished before then would be great, but December 6th would be the last meeting. We will then take those recommendations that the committee has put together, and the committee have been out in the public, been talking to the public, and coming back and having discussions with us, making these changes. We'll give it to legal counsel. Legal counsel will spend about a month tidying those up to looking what the final would look like and what it would look like for a ballot measure. We'll meet one time again with the committee to make sure, hey, is this exactly what you want, what you're wanting it to look like, and then come in January, bring that back, the committee doing a presentation to council, or if the committee prefers me to speak to you through them, or how we decide to do that. But the committee will be giving you the recommendations. And then once those recommendations are made, you can ask questions, what was committee thinking, those type of things, some back and forth again. Ideally, I think February is when we have to call the election portion of it, so we've got to have everything tidied up, buttoned up by February. And then the committee will be your spokespersons throughout the process. We can, city staff and council can provide factual information. It's like a bond election type thing, so you can go out and get factual information. If we want to do some town halls, we can give that. But basically, your committee is your voice because they are the ones that made the recommendation. It's up to council whether you take all of the recommendations or none of the recommendations or some of the recommendations. That is council's choice. So that's the process, but I know that I wanted to have an opportunity for y'all to actually have dialogue before we start getting into the nitty-gritty of what does this charter need to be revised to, what does it need to look like. And so tonight, I'm still under the weather here, so I've asked Carrie to kind of head up tonight's discussions as we walk through this and kind of give you some examples. I think he was going to talk about an example of what conversation would look like. It doesn't have to be lengthy tonight. We don't have to get into the he, she, there, they, whatever. It's however how it's going to be worded in here. We're not worried about the wording. We're just looking at some generalities of areas. And I'm going to ask Carrie to give a good example of one of the things that I think has been discussed by multiple council members and within the public as long as I've been here. So.
Jason, before you start, I'd like to say, I'll be out of the office tomorrow, but Wednesday I will send the committee a copy of the charter along with the itinerary of the possible dates. So I'll get that done on Wednesday when I return back to the office.
And I know Carrie's supposed to have his legal portion too, so we'll have that pretty soon too.
Okay, well.
I do have the legal portion done as far as, any recommended changes that are, in addition to that, I'll finish that this week. Just a couple of initial points to make too, that each change or each subject matter of changes to the charter has to have a separate ballot proposition. So you could end up, depending on the number of changes, it could be a rather lengthy ballot. For example, I can't remember how many we had the last time we changed the charter. I want to say it was about 13, 14, something like that. Brenham, we did Brenham's in 2015. It was about 27. I mean, it was quite a few. So just be aware of that. Part of the reason it will take a month after we get everything figured out in terms of the actual changes and wording that you want to recommend to the council, then we'll build these ballot propositions, and you have to build the language of the proposition, then you have to also include in that, this will be sent out to the public for consideration. You have to include in that what the anticipated economic effect or financial impact on the community would be. So there's some additional information that would need to be included with what gets published. So be aware of that. That's why there's this month of build out time once the charter gets, once the wording gets wordsmithed to that point. So I think for example, one of the changes that has been discussed is going from 2-year terms for council members to 3-year terms. Right now, 2-year terms, there's there's an election every year. One election would involve 3 council members. The other election would involve 2, since you have 5. But if you went to 3-year terms, then it could be 2, 2, and 1 that were up for election at each year. So that would prevent kind of this wholesale possible turnover. It also allows council members. I know there's a very there's a time period after which somebody gets elected. They're new to council. It's just like, okay, what is this new creature I'm dealing with? Maybe they've been in the private sector, and you come into municipal work, and it's like, man, this is just totally, things move differently. You have the Open Meetings Act. You have all these things that you're dealing with, and a lot of things to take in. And so, it takes about a year at least, sometimes longer, 1.5 years, 2 years to kind of really get your feet on the ground and figure out, okay, I feel comfortable as a council member now to understand the process. And that's not true for everybody, but it's pretty common. So if you have a longer term, then I think it increases stability and would allow somebody to get their feet on the ground and then really, keep rolling and then have some institutional knowledge and that sort of thing that they can either carry on to the next term or pass on. So anyway, that would be just one example. It doesn't have to be a long discussion. I'll be taking notes. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of note-taking going on, and we'll compile all of these comments of council. Bless you.
Thank you.
And the committee members, and then, we'll just say, okay, we'll start, working on some language. I have kind of a rough draft of a plan to propose to you in terms of how to break down the charter, in terms of looking at it for 5 weeks. And then the sixth week could be kind of, okay, let's just make sure we have it all tied up and the language that everybody on the committee is comfortable with. And it would be kind of a cleanup and just make sure everything is good week. So I'll be glad to give that to Susie, so when she sends out the notification, it would be something for y'all to consider, at least a proposed plan, and what would be reasonable to consider each week.
Is there a bilingual requirement on this too?
On the
ballot
on the election,
part?
yes.
Okay.
Sure is.
Okay.
Yep.
So maybe it won't be Wednesday, but as soon as I get his document, I'll make sure I get it to the committee. Sure.
What, 38 pages?
Okay.
We will get, you will not be, so anything, we will make sure you get.
We'll get all hard
we'll get the hard
copies.
copies for you. It's no problem.
To everybody, because it's easier to look at it.
That way you can take notes and
Make
stuff.
notes.
Yeah, I like paper.
Yeah, we'll have notepads there. We'll have everything you need. So we'll make sure you're not out of anything.
Just as an overall statement, Carrie, could you just give us just the general, what is our charter?
You bet. So the charter is an extremely important document for the city of Navasota. The charter is akin to the Constitution federally. So the charter, and the charter is the document that says this is what the city, as approved by the voters, is allowed to do. These are the rules that govern the operation of the city, how the council is elected, what kinds of bonds you can issue. It goes into taxation, financing, the city manager position, the municipal court. Not too deep of a level, but and I'm gonna because of the Death Star preemption bill, that could totally change everything, but it's too premature for us to go into that. But basically, your charter, under state law, the city can do anything that is not prohibited by state law.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. These are the things we can do.
Yes. And
The list of things that the state says we can't do is probably a lot longer.
well, they're trying to make it longer. They sure are. And so that's anyway. So right now, we're gonna ignore that Death Star bill.
gonna
And
move forward like it's
we're gonna
not-
move forward
yeah.
like it's not applicable. It's just.
He'll- he'll let you
yes,
know.
Yeah,
And
that's part of my
we-
role.
That's
is
his
to-
job.
Yes, ma'am.
His job.
Would be to make sure that, I advise you on that is to, okay, yeah, great idea, but we can't do it. Or, hey, great idea, let's, present that to the council. Yes, ma'am. Dia, I'm sorry.
Jennifer's telling me to hold down a button over here.
Oh.
No. Okay, a question that I have. Will there be, you mentioned that Brenham had done theirs and
Correct.
some other places. So will we have the opportunity to look at other cities of like size, to compare to or to, see how they've done things?
I can print those out.
Okay, yeah, and TML has actually put together a home rule charter book that's really good, that can share with Susie, and maybe she can distribute that to y'all. It's really good. It talks about the various provisions that you'll see in charters that are pretty common, and it has a lot of sample language. So that would be a really good document, I think, for you to take a look at.
We'll just
This
make it a
all-
big
this-
notebook.
This all goes back to 1866 was
Yes.
when we were chartered, so
So, real quick version of it. So, your city charter, like he said, is basically the Constitution. In order to change it, the voters can have to approve it. Unlike the ordinances like we did tonight, the council makes those. So you have your charter that oversees our ordinances. And ordinances, council can make those changes. And those can be changed all the time. The charter can be only changed every 2 years by the voters. And generally, you look at it every 2 years because people update it based on state law. You have a charter review committee come in and look at it in totality with residents and looking at it through that lens, generally every 10 years. Similar to our comprehensive plan, every 10 years you look at it, every 5 years you update it. So that's where we're at now. It's not been done
2007.
Yeah, 2007. So it's been quite some time since we've done this. So we probably will have a lot more on there, but
So what I'm hearing is every change that we make, it has to be on the ballot separately.
That
Is
is.
that right?
As long as it falls within the subject matter of that change. For example,
Okay.
we can build a ballot proposition that says, we propose to amend the charter to correct the grammatical and spelling errors throughout the charter and build that language. And so it will cover every particular grammatical or spelling change. Or if there's if the number of changes that are required because of state law, we can build that into one proposition. So it basically has to be the subject matter. And so you can have actually more than one change technically in there, but it has to relate to that particular subject matter. And that's one of the.
reason I'm saying is because if you have too many for the vote.
Yes.
They ain't gonna read them.
It's overwhelming. Yeah, it's overwhelming. That's right. That's a good point.
So you're
Well,
saying,
y'all can help narrow it down,
Correct.
so you're saying that if if parts of the charter needs to be updated because legislation has changed over the past couple of years, but they hadn't been updated, then you could use a broad language that says that
To make these provisions
to make the
consistent.
provisions to meet to state regulation.
And that could be one item.
And that would be
That
one,
would be
that
one
would be
item.
one ballot item.
And the information that gets to the voters, however, would explain all of the particular changes
Right.
and would have a red line version showing, okay, this is what is actually happening. If you approve this ballot proposition, this is how the charter is going to be impacted. This is how the language is going to be changed. So,
Some of the things that I've noticed throughout had to do with technology. Technology has changed. So even though it would be maybe changes in several places, that would be one of those overall things that we could,
could be,
Yeah.
depending on
How
the
specific it
nature,
is.
that's, yeah, how specific.
right. And if we have questions, the first meeting you said is October 25th.
That's what we're shooting for.
So if we have questions, who do we send
So
our
you
questions to?
send them to Susie.
Oh, okay.
And then Susie will get those to where we need to. Yeah.
Carrie, I think I somewhat heard Jason said that the committee would be our spokesman. So what role will the council play if something changes? We can't publicly say we're for or against.
Well, what happens is the committee will do its work, and, you'll have the opportunity here to tell them if there are certain sections you want them to take a look at. The committee will spend time working on the charter and potential amendments, and then they will submit those changes back to the council for you to review. And you will review those and see and it's a recommendation. So what the committee will be doing is recommending these changes back to you. You could say yes to all of them, no to all of them, or yes and no. It's up to the council to ultimately decide how you're going to call the election and what you're going to put on the ballot. So,
And their recommendation could be modified. So not if
Absolutely.
it's thumbs up, thumbs down, it could just be that we,
yes, that's exactly right.
allowed to collaborate beforehand or with them, the council, or we just do it as our own group?
Yes, you can collaborate with council, but not
Not with a group.
Not with a
of-
quorum.
Not the quorum, but individually,
You
you're
just
more
said
than welcome
the
to
council could
contact
come to
us.
the meeting, right?
but they can't do, so they will not be able to participate.
Participate.
But generally, if you have a question, you would, hey, go visit each council member. Is what you, right, so you cannot go to one council member and say, okay, councilman, I need you to go to your other council member. That's a walk-in quorum. But you can go to each one and get their thoughts.
Okay.
That you are more than able to do that.
Okay.
So we're not following the rules like the Open Meetings Act or anything?
So you are.
Are we?
You
We
are,
fall under
but
that?
you're not, it's an open public meeting. You do not have, you're gonna be meeting together, okay? The council cannot take, if they all show up, they cannot take action at that. So we are gonna post as an open public meeting, but you're not a board, you're a committee. And so all three of you can meet with a council member together. All five of you can meet, and it's not a quorum because you're not.
You're an advisory.
You're an advisory
committee,
board.
So you don't fall under the.
Yeah, that doesn't fall.
Okay, so we
That's
could
sort of
meet with
thing.
each other and just,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Now, Carrie, but once the council calls the election, neither one of the council members can say, I'm for or against this.
You have to be careful because you don't want to spend any city resources or city time advocating for passage. The city can put out factual information.
That's it.
Okay, here's what we see as the potential financial impact of this particular measure. Here's why it's being done, but not in an not advocating for passage. You say, okay, here's the reason why this is, needing to change.
But it would potentially be reasonable to assume that if we were putting it as a proposition, that we would
That we
be
were
in
supporting
favor of
it.
it.
Well,
But if one of you
Here-
doesn't approve it.
Right, that's why,
To
yeah.
get beyond, we have to approve it before it even
yeah, I think that's
goes.
built into the process,
Yeah,
yeah.
So that's when you're advocating. for
At least
it.
the majority of you would.
That's
be
when
in
that
favor of it.
discussion would happen is.
Yeah, I got you.
You would let the group know, just like we do on any on any agenda item, how you feel about certain things on it. And that'll be in an open meeting.
Would this be a special?
No, we already have to have the election. We have 3 council members that are up.
That's what I was thinking, so it
Ma'am. Yes,
For the
ma'am.
May, in May.
okay.
Yeah, it's technically a special election, but it's held at the same time, so, yeah. So the cost will be minimized.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
And I think there's
The county.
2 or 3, school board positions, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
coming as well, so.
So I have a question. I've always been told there's a list, we're gonna add that to the list of things that we needed to change. And then there was some discussion about whether Brad has the list or is that the list of just the legal issues or other things that have come up throughout the?
Now, I don't have Brad's list. I have,
Carrie's list.
Hey,
I'll
I'll
reach
reach out, I'll reach out to Mr. Stafford and ask him about his list. I'm not aware of it. I don't have access to anything, but
This man takes notes over
I
here.
think-
Every
I
time
think
we
Brad
say
would
something
probably-
like that, he writes it
Well, I don't know, I was
down.
gonna say Carrie's probably has,
He has quite an extensive.
those items are probably.
I have quite a few. I don't know I didn't know of Brad's list, so if there's Brad's list, we need to.
I just was told about the list. I haven't
Okay.
seen the list.
Okay.
List
I don't have the list.
Who's got the list?
Does the list exist?
You know, and I think, whether there's Brad's list, I think the committee will do its work and evaluate it. And I think in that process, as we dialogue about the charter provisions, I think probably what's on Brad's list will be, dealt with. I think it'll become.
I don't even remember what it was, so I hope so. I mean,
I think there were a couple things like maybe the terms, but also whether or not the judge. Right now, the judge is required to be the municipal court judge is required to be a citizen of Navasota, and I think that works fine for Judge Gruder right now. But for example, some cities will contract with the justice of the peace to like LaFleur did, and so. Sometimes those folks don't live in the city, and so, it can be limiting if you require somebody to be a citizen of Navasota. And maybe you want to keep it that way, but that's an option. So I know that was something that was talked about since the last election. I will say this, there are not a ton of legal conflicts with the current charter and the changes that have been made, because what we tried to do last time is change the language such that you didn't have to change it every time the state legislature made a change, to make it more vague but applicable, like in accordance with applicable law, something like that, rather than saying, oh, it's section 12.01 of the property code. So we tried to clean up some of that. There are a few things that I think we may want the committee to consider changing, and like the zoning is specifically mentioned, plating. I don't know that needs to be in your charter because that's addressed in state law, but that's something the committee can work through with the council. But things like that. So we tried to do that, and when we had the last charter amendment election, and so there's some things that need to be changed. For example, the charter says that the regular election for the election of council members occurs on the second Saturday in May. Well, now it's the first Saturday in May, and the election code was changed since the last charter amendment election, so we'll need to clean that up. And we can clean that up in a way that says,
Following as to state law.
correct, yeah, in accordance with state law, so.
They
That
change
way
their
you're not
minds
having-
They change their minds a lot.
every 2 years
Yeah.
for 144 days.
That's right. And another example would be annexation.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah, so if you have a specific date, then it becomes in conflict with state law, then the charter would have, the council, even though the charter says one thing, would have to comply with the state law. So that's one of those things that Mayor Miller was talking about, like, hey, still have to follow state
More
law.
umbrella, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so another example would be annexation. Annexation has been severely limited over the last several sessions, and so our charter allows the council to extend the boundaries in situations which is no longer allowed under state law. So we'll need to amend that language and, make sure it complies with state law. So those are a couple of examples.
And what if the citizens were to vote against something that says it will do what the law says?
I was wondering that too.
Well, then we'll just have to comply with state law, and just live with the, like it is now, the charter says,
Yeah.
we have to have the election, on the second Saturday in May. Well, we're not doing that because we can't. So, hopefully they'll recognize the wisdom and, changing that, but sometimes that happens.
I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So council, is there anything that you wish for the committee, any areas that particular that you would like to, other than what we've mentioned so far?
As far as like what our.
Any ideas?
We would think.
Anything that you already can think of that or?
I mean, yeah, Carrie had mentioned it. Several people have discussed it and extending the terms to 3 years and switching the voting to 2-2-1. I think that would be across the board. I think that would be more beneficial in the long run as far as leadership goes.
I see that. So James was just elected, and you had to go through your budget, and you didn't know a lot about it. But by this time next year, you're going to know a lot.
Yeah.
But then you only get 1 year to actually before you having to worry about trying to campaign again.
Yeah.
It's frustrating sometimes.
It's a lot to swallow. There's a lot of new information that you have to absorb in your first 6 months. So by the time the first 6 months is over, your head's still spinning. And then depending on if you started in a legislative session or not, you may be thrown at the Capitol and have no idea what's going on. And then the next year you're up for election again. So it's and it also is difficult because legislation meets every 2 years and we vote every 2 years. So you may or may not get your opportunity to actually deal with that side of the politics, which you may or may not want to do. I thought it was fun. But that was just one of the things that I had thought about, and I know that a lot of people have thought about that. I do want to make sure that they all have my cell phone number.
Okay.
Y'all can call me anytime if y'all want my
I'll
opinion.
send the city council directory page with all the charter information.
Right now, presently, the city council, we hire the city manager, the municipal judge, the city attorney, city secretary, and it's one other. It's just 4?
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, just a thought here. The council doesn't work with the city secretary every day. She's in the same building as the city manager. I mean, is that something that we may want to look at, that the city manager hires the city secretary?
So I've spoken to some people about it. So currently the way it's written is not the way it's occurring. So the way it's written is council hires, which I'm assuming council did hire you, and council's supposed to oversee that position. And my understanding when I came was that's not the way it's been. I mean, I think you reported to Brad and everything. And so that is something that I think needs to be tidied up. Whether it's me or whoever comes after me needs to know what the responsibility is. So there's lots of ways you can look at doing that. And it's something that I don't mind sharing with the committee on ways whether the city manager hires it and council affirms that, and the city manager oversees the position, or if council wants to oversee that position, it just needs to be black and white on there. It needs to be stated in detail so that there's no wondering.
And then the municipal judge is the same way, isn't it?
So, correct.
We did hire them.
So you did, yeah, you do.
We did hire
But talking about, there's a difference in hiring somebody and then overseeing them. And I don't think.
Or appointing them.
Or appointing them.
But overseeing them isn't really in the charter, is it?
Correct, yeah, there's nothing in there, and I think that's where we need some clarification of who is going to.
The appointment / hiring, I guess, needs to be.
So,
and that can just be part of the discussion.
Yeah.
So I guess, what I was really getting at with whoever the council hires, do they answer to the city manager or does they answer to the council?
So right now, the way the charter is written, there's 4 people that report to y'all. And 3 of them are on the dais now. The rest report to me. And so, and that's something I think we need to be sure Carrie, we need to talk to the committee so they understand what home rule means, city manager, form of government, because there are things within the charter that go against some of that stuff. So for instance, it says that you will set the compensation for those 4 appointees and all employees, and that's not true. You might approve a compensation plan, but you don't set everybody's salary, and that's not what a home rule city manager-led government does. And so that needs to be cleaned up in here. And so, but there's some other things which Carrie understands that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'd say, a position like the municipal court judge is different in that, that position has autonomy that is necessary in order to exercise the judicial function, so that's a unique kind of position which would, I think, have that position treated differently than like the city secretary, although there's interaction with the city manager, of course, and the council, but it's just different, the city secretary.
Well, and so the reason that I can come up with to have Susie report to council versus the city manager is your city manager probably changes more often, and so you wouldn't want your city secretary being fired every 2 or 5 years, depending on the burnout of the city manager. I guess, I don't know, but is there a reason that would be written that way, that it would be written that way? I was thinking back in the day when that was written, there was something that probably happened that said this is the way we should do it. Could be that
So the city secretary, aside from all of the crazy, amazing things that our city secretary does, one of her key functions is to keep us in line with the laws that govern us, which is why we need to make sure that the city secretary is up to date on all of those, and it's not a popularity contest, it's not any of those things. It's someone that keeps us from being in legislative trouble.
Then she's the official record keeper.
Yeah,
Record
and
keeper,
that's
elections,
a lot of people don't realize the importance of that. We realize it because she knows all of the rules that we have to know that we don't know 95% of the time, and she keeps us in check. That's, she does that. The city secretary does that. Those are things that are important to the council. The city manager, I mean, of course he has to worry about them, but not nearly as much as she does and we do. So, I mean, that's why I would assume we would need a good relationship with our city secretary because she gets us out of jail.
Even though those 4 people are hired and it's defined that they're hired by the city council, I never considered the fact that they then worked for the city council and could just ignore the city manager. If you were looking at one of those organizational charts, and if you're looking at one of those organizational charts, you would find that they were put out here rather than down here, that they were at least liaised in some way through that. But I can't see that the city secretary or you, I mean, who you consider you work for, you
Yeah, I think I'd be a good
work
example.
with the city manager type thing, basically. He's a point of contact.
That's right. I mean, you hire me, it's your decision. Most of my interaction, not that I don't interact with y'all, but most of my
Right.
interaction is with
Yeah.
Jason because of just the
Truth is
day-to-day,
out.
And-
issues that come up and,
And it could get messy if it wasn't that way.
But
There has to be a gatekeeper.
So when you have an issue with me, you go straight to him,
Yeah,
that type of thing. If you have an issue with him, you come to me, and then we discuss it. So, but I will tell you, I've worked at other cities where that relationship, where the council is directly overseeing the council, or overseeing the city secretary, and the city manager not having any say-so, doesn't work well. Even though you would hope that it would, I can tell you, it doesn't. So, there are times when you just get the wrong person in there that just didn't
Well,
work.
it may be if you have a council that's paid salaries that kind of do some of the day-to-day stuff, but that's not.
But I think tidying it up the way that you want to operate, we do need to put some wording in there so that some clear understanding.
Do y'all have any questions?
Sorry.
Do you have a meeting?
Yeah.
All right. It's too late to back out now, I'm just saying.
You already signed, didn't you? You already signed.
Yeah, you stuck with us now.
We'll put you on payroll.
Yeah, you'll get the same pay we do.
Well, council, if you have anything afterwards that you think of, just share it with Susie, and she'll get it to the committee. That helps.
Yes, and I'm sorry. So you're gonna share our contact information. Can you share their contact information with us? Is that,
I will.
I mean, I have most of y'all's, but, so anyway.
And it's plus Mac, is there a total of 4? Is that?
Five in Ashland.
Ashland, right, okay,
So we have 5.
Is Mac the only guy?
5.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hey, that's good, that's good. Couldn't happen to anybody better.
And anything, like I said, anything that y'all have, just get to Susie, and then Susie will get it to them. And, of course, myself, Susie, and Kristen will all be involved in the discussions with them throughout the process and work through it. And if y'all have any questions, again,
Reading
just
the
let us
charter
know.
is such a
Great time.
enjoyable.
That's fun.
All right. Very good.
Item number 1.
I believe we're adjourned.